How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Banker Next Door. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. Today, we're going to be reviewing Bank Director's 2024 Ranking Banking Report. Basically, they look at they basically analyze the top 300 publicly traded banks in the country and try to determine the top 25 based on performance. And so we're going to take a look at this by first looking at an article, which I'm going to bring in here, and then we're going to actually take a quick gander through the report itself. So this is just an article in here that says 2024 Ranking Banking Report. Small players dominate the best banks list. So Bank Director's annual ranking of the 300 largest public banks finds niche and community institutions tend to be the best. So every year, the Bank Director publishes Ranking Banking, an analysis of the largest 300 publicly traded banks by performance. They say, I find myself marveling at the sheer number of community banks that top the list. This year was no exception. Although there are some banks that have achieved successful niche business models over the years, the Bank Corp and Bank OZIC are among them. What Ranking Banking proves is that the community bank model is far from dead. In fact, it's thriving. Take a look at Five Star Bancorp in California and Great Southern Bancorp in Missouri. As Bank Director's Vice President of Editorial and Research, Emily McCormick, describes in the report, 19 of the top 25 banks in the country last year had less than $10 billion in assets. Karen Baldwin, a partner who leads the financial services audit group at Crow, which sponsored this report, says some of what performance has to do with a loyal customer base. When something goes wrong, you can have a discussion with someone who actually knows you personally, she says. You're not getting sent to a call center far off, and for a lot of these commercial deposits, that's what they want. Among the largest 300 banks, the smallest institutions examined this year had $2 billion in assets. Ranking Banking is compiled by Piper Sandler and Company with year-end 2023 data from S&P Global Market Intelligence. It uses 4 metrics to gauge the performance of public, commercial, and savings banks as defined by S&P. The metrics are core return on average assets and core return on average equity, tangible common equity to tangible assets, and non-performing assets to loans and other real estate owned. Each bank is ranked on each metric, and the sum of the rankings produces the final score. This year, total shareholders' return was excluded because some over-the-counter banks are thinly traded, making the metric unfair as a comparison. Management teams also have a harder time influencing that figure. In 2023, bankers who were wise about balance sheet management and dominated their markets or niches did better than others. That's not to say that all small banks outperform larger banks, certainly not, but small overachievers filled the top of the ranks. In these pages, we tell some of their stories. So what they do is they rank the top 25 banks, as we'll see here in a second. They rank the top 25 banks of the 300 banks they looked at, which were publicly traded, and then they also break it down later in the report by asset size. They do less than 5 billion, 5 billion to 50 billion, and then 50 billion and above. And then at the end of the report, we'll see they kind of talk a little bit about like why were small banks, basically banks under 10 billion in asset size, how did they end up making up 19 out of the top 25 performers? What kind of niches and things did they have? So let's look at, this is the report here itself, the Ranking Banking Report, and we're going to pop in here. So again, this is sponsored by Crow, and we're going to pop in. So here is the list of the top 25 banks, and let's see here. So number 1 on the list coming in, number 1, West America Bancorp. Congratulations, out in California. That's fantastic. Then rounding out the top 5, we have Farmers and Merchants Bancorp, also in California. We have Macatawa Bank, if I'm saying that right. It looks like in Michigan. Mercantile Bancorp, also in Michigan. East West Bancorp, also in California. And then who else do we have here? Anybody else here? So I'll just run through them. So we got Commerce Bank Shares coming in at number 6. We have Kashmir Valley Bank at number 7, City Holding Company at number 8, the Bank Corp at number 9 over in Delaware. Know some of the folks over there at the Bancorp Bank. They run a very good operation over there. Number 10, Private Bancorp of America. Number 11, ACNB Corp. Also, it looks like there was a tie there between ACNB and Lakeland Financial Corp. Number 13, Central Bank Company. Number 14, River City Bank. Number 15, Community Trust Bank Corp. Number 16, Bank OZK. Service First Bank Shares. Number 18, Five Star Bank Corp. Number 19, Southern States Bank Shares. Number 20 was Main Street Bank Shares. Number 21, HBT Financial. Number 22, Park Bank over in New Jersey. Again, know some of the folks over there. It's a good, another good, very good shop over there. Vito. Kind of like he's a legend over in that South Jersey market. Number 23, Great Southern Bank Corp. Number 24, First Source Corp. And then number 24, oh, it looks like we had a tie there for 24th spot, International Bank Shares Corporation. So out in Texas. So congratulations to all those banks making the top 25. That is really awesome. And you can see here, like I'll just run through the number one bank here. Western, if I can get this straight here, Western America Bank Corp. Total assets, $6.3 billion. Core ROAA was 2.35. That's fantastic. Core ROAE, 18.09%. That's great. Tangible common equity, tangible assets, 10.43. Just incredible numbers. NPRs, loans, and Oreo are 0.05%. So they had a total final score of 72. So just absolutely fantastic numbers there. So look at that, great fans. So okay, so they're in there, and then let's take a look back. Let's jump back here so you can see. So then they have kind of some articles in here like capitalizing on disruption, California's entrepreneurial five-star bank corp. They highlight a couple banks in here. Bank OZK profits from banking's siren song. And then, yep, will Great Southern's winning streak last? So kind of Southern Bank Corp. And then this is a good one here. So why small banks dominate in the rankings? 19 of the top 25 banks are under 10 billion in assets. Public banks closest to the 10 billion mark. So we had National Bank Holdings Corp, Trico Bank Shares, Connect One Bank Corp. We just saw Connect One do the big merger this week that is now going to propel them to probably over 14 billion in asset size. Park National Corp here, Origin Bank Corp, Amerant Bank Corp, Capital Federal Financial, and then S&T Bank Corp. All basically beginning to push up on that 10 billion threshold there. So, and let's see here. And then let's see, here's another interesting. So the smallest top performers are the most profitable. So median ROAE 21 through 23. Top banks less than 50 billion. I'm sorry, greater than 50 billion. And you can kind of see here some of the numbers here, 12.24, 12.87, and then dropping down to 11.77. But then you can see here banks, basically the top 30 banks, 5 billion to 50 billion, 14.73, 14.69, 12.12. And then below 5 billion, 14.82, 16%, 12.23. So, and I would point out that even though these numbers have dropped a little bit, 11.7%, 12.12, 12.23. I mean, those are still really good, solid performance numbers. I mean, there's nothing wrong with those. I mean, obviously you'd like to be, 16%, 14.73, 12.8. I mean, obviously those are better, but but even so, it's still pretty solid numbers. So, and then we get into, and then as we go back here, we get into kind of, 50 billion and above, kind of top ranking banks here. And then we get into 5 billion to 50 billion. So let's go back for a second here. So 50 billion and above, number one was East West Bank Corp. First Citizens Bank Shares, Wintrust Financial Corp, Webster Financial Corp, and Columbia Banking System rounding out the top 5. Cullen Frost Bankers, Comerica, Western Alliance Bank Corp, JP Morgan Chase, and Synovus basically rounding out the top 10. Some banks I think on there you kind of expect. Obviously, you kind of expect JP Morgan to be in there. Cullen Frost Bankers, Western Alliance, so Synovus. I will say a couple of people here. You got kind of like Northern Trust at 11, Regions at 12, M&T at 14, Fifth Third Bank Corp, and U.S. Bank Corp tying at 15. Huntington Bank Shares. I would have probably thought a couple of those banks would have been in the top 10, but okay. But it's interesting, just interesting to note there. So let's go run over. This is the $5 billion to $50 billion. Did we go on? Hang on. Did I skip a page? Oh, here we go. Okay. $5 billion to $50 billion. Let's see here. Again, we have West America Bank Corp, number 1, Farmers and Merchants Bank Corp, number 2, Mercantile Bank Corp, number 3, Commerce Bank Shares 4, and City Holding, number 5. The Bank Corp, number 6, Central Bank Company, number 7, Lakeland Financial Corp, Bank OZK, Community Trust Bank Corp, rounding out the top 10 there. And then let's take a look here. Okay, less than $5 billion. Macatawa Bank Corp coming in at number 1. Kashmir Valley Bank, number 2. River City Bank, number 3. ACNB Corp, number 4. 5 Star Bank Corp, number 5. That's pretty funny. 5 Star Banks, number 5. Southern States Bank Shares. Private Bank Corp of America, number 7. Main Street Bank Shares, number 8. Park Bank, number 9. And then Red River Bank Shares rounding out the top 10. So that's pretty cool. And then I think, and then just kind of acknowledgments at the back there. But really great report. Like I said, just kind of ranking through some of the best banks and their performances in the country. So like I said, I will have links to the report and the article in the description down below if you want to go check them out. And I highly recommend you would. Maybe your bank is on the list. Maybe a bank that you're working for is on the list. So definitely go check that out. Kudos to everybody there that made the list and got, rounded out in the top 10. Kudos to the banks that made the overall top 25. That's just a great accomplishment, great performances in a rather tough year. In a rather tough, 2023 was a very tough year because of the interest rate environment, because of the issue with unrealized losses that came up, because of the bank failures in early 2023, kind of rocked the regional banks. So it was 2023 was a challenging, very challenging year in certain respects, and 2024 has proved to be no less so. But anyway, okay, if you like this episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, as that always helps the channel. Please make sure to follow us on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please leave your comments down below, as I always love getting back to everybody. Make sure to check out thebankernextdoor.com, and I will see everybody again real soon. Thanks a lot.